Welcome back to the channel. Today we want to introduce to you some singers who once dominated the charts, packed the stages and lived like royalty, are now imprisoned behind cold bars. They are not faded stars, quietly living in retirement. They are musicians who are still breathing, still alive, but imprisoned, paying the price for crimes that shocked the world. From fame and money to handcuffs and cells, their stories are naked, distorted, and unforgettable. We will lift the curtain to reveal 15 musicians who are no longer living in luxury but are rotting in prison. Commane Wilson called himself a musician, but there was no music to prove it. No tracks, no hits, nothing for anyone to judge his so-called talent. Born Commane Wilson, the world would come to know him not for his art, but for one of the most shocking crimes imaginable. Today, he sits behind bars, serving a 99-year sentence for orchestrating the murder of his own mother, Yolanda Holmes, a beloved beauty shop owner who had devoted her life to giving him everything. She spoiled him with a luxury sports car, lined up jobs, showered him with gifts, and poured love into every corner of his life, all in the hope that her son would stay away from the streets and gangs. But that wasn't enough for young QC. Greedy for more and impatient for fast riches, he arranged for an associate, Eugene Spencer, to kill the very woman who had sacrificed everything for him. The crime was sloppy and brutal, leaving Yolanda dead. What followed was a grotesque display of arrogance. With his mother gone, Wilson emptied her bank accounts, living large and flaunting cash. In one notorious moment, he even withdrew thousands of dollars just to toss it into the air for his so-called fans. But the law always catches up. Tried and convicted of first-degree murder, Wilson received 99 years, while Spencer, who was paid only $75 of the promised $3,500 for the hit, was sentenced to 100 years. And here's the kicker, this isn't even the wildest story you'll hear today. Stick around until the end to find out which musician Kim Kardashian once fought to free from prison. If you thought young QC's betrayal was unthinkable, wait until you hear what's next. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button so you never miss more jaw-dropping stories like this. Suge Knight, the towering, fearsome figure who ruled death row records with an iron fist. At his peak, Knight wasn't just a music executive, he was a kingmaker, standing at the crossroads of hip-hop's most explosive era. As CEO of Death Row, he held the reins of legends like Tupac, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg, overseeing the release of era-defining albums, The Chronic, Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me, records that shook the culture to its core. But power and violence went hand in hand. Death Row's empire burned bright and fast, only to crumble in the wake of Tupac's murder, Knight's thuggish reputation, and his ruthless, tactless style of leadership. Stars fled, the empire collapsed, and eventually, bankruptcy court put the final nail in the coffin. Knight himself was no stranger to handcuffs. Assault charges, parole violations, drug busts. His rap sheet grew as fast as his legend. Then came the night of January 29, 2015. After a heated argument spiraled out of control, Knight jumped behind the wheel and ran over two men, killing one, critically injuring the other. The trial was pure spectacle, a courtroom drama filled with twists and delays. In the end, Knight pled no contest to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 28 years behind bars. His earliest chance at parole? July 2037. But with his failing health and a life spent in chaos, many believe the once mighty boss of Death Row may never live to see freedom again. Vybz Kartel is one of Jamaica's most celebrated reggae and dancehall artists, admired across the globe. But his meteoric rise came crashing down in a storm of scandal and violence. The turning point came when a man named Clive "Lizard" Williams allegedly stole a firearm from Kartel. According to police reports, the artist didn't take this lightly, and what followed would change his life forever. On December 29, 2011, authorities arrested Kartel, not only on charges of illegal firearm possession and drug offenses, but also in connection to Williams' disappearance and presumed murder. Although he initially secured bail for the lesser charges, he remained locked behind bars, awaiting trial for the far graver accusation. What followed was a legal saga unlike anything Jamaica had ever seen. Due to repeated delays and difficulties securing a jury, the trial dragged on for nearly 3 years. Finally, on November 18, 2013, a panel of 11 jurors delivered their verdict: guilty. Cartel's trial lasted 65 days, reportedly the longest in the nation's history. Now, the once unstoppable world boss faces a life sentence, with eligibility for parole only after serving 32 years and 6 months. That means the earliest Cartel could walk free would be in the year 2046. Until then, one of dancehall's brightest stars will shine only from behind prison walls. R. Kelly's downfall is a story that stretches back decades, proof that fame can shield darkness for only so long. His legal troubles began in the 1990s, but it wasn't until 2021 that he finally faced the full weight of justice. In the early 2000s, he was one of R&B's biggest stars, topping charts and selling out arenas. Today, he's wasting away behind bars, convicted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The warning signs were there from the start. In 1994, at 28 years old, Kelly manipulated 14-year-old Aaliyah into lying on her birth certificate so he could secretly marry her. That disturbing marriage was quickly annulled, but it set the stage for a lifetime of predatory behavior. Trouble followed him every few years. Some incidents were minor, but others revealed a chilling pattern. In 1996, a woman came forward claiming that Kelly had dated her when she was only 15, leaving her injured in the process. By 2002, his reputation took another hit when a shocking videotape surfaced, showing him engaging in sexual acts with an underage girl. That same year, police seized his camera, which contained lewd photos, including images of minors. Yet in a twist of injustice, prosecutors claimed there wasn't enough evidence, and the charges were dropped. As bad as that sounds, the story only grew darker. Reports later revealed that Kelly had been keeping women under his control in a disturbing, cult-like environment, dictating their every move and recording explicit acts. When the truth finally broke, more survivors stepped forward, their stories exposing the depth of his abuse. In June 2022, the final gavel dropped. R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Once celebrated as the king of R&B, he is now remembered as one of music's most disgraced figures, a cautionary tale of unchecked power, hidden horrors, and the price of justice delayed. Before Young Thug was topping charts with hits like Pick Up the Phone and Lifestyle, his name was already tied to some dark street history. On May 9, 2022, the rapper was arrested on conspiracy and gang-related charges that stretched all the way back to 2013. The indictment? Massive, 56 separate counts, many of them deadly serious. Among the most shocking was his alleged connection to the rental of an Infiniti Q50 sedan used in the murder of rival gang member Donovan Thomas Jr. But that was just the beginning. When police raided his home, the charges piled higher. They found controlled substances packaged for sale and a stockpile of illegal weapons, everything from rifles to sawed-off shotguns. Each discovery added more weight to an already staggering case. Authorities linked Young Thug to the YSL Street Gang, with 27 other alleged members also swept up in the indictment. Today, he sits behind bars awaiting trial, set for January 9, 2023. If convicted, the rapper who once ruled the charts could instead be staring down a grim reality: 20 years to life in prison. Austin Jones rose to fame on YouTube, where his mix of covers and original songs attracted more than 500,000 subscribers and millions of views. But behind the polished vocals and boy next door image was a disturbing truth. In 2015, the music site Pupfresh revealed that Jones had been contacting underage girls for inappropriate and selfish reasons. The scandal forced him to cancel his appearance on the Vans Warped Tour, and in a shocking YouTube confession, he admitted the allegations were true, offering a hollow apology. 2 years later, on June 9, 2017, federal agents raided his home under a search warrant signed by a U.S. magistrate judge. That same day, Jones was arrested at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. The investigation uncovered even darker details, including attempts by tour organizers to cover up his misconduct. His once thriving career collapsed overnight. His channel was shut down, his reputation destroyed. On May 3, 2019, he was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison, A chilling reminder of how quickly fame can turn to infamy when built on lies and predation. YNW Melly isn't just known for hits like Mixed Personalities with Kanye West or Suicidal with Juice WRLD. He's also become one of rap's most controversial figures. Trouble has followed him from the start. In 2015, he spent a year behind bars for aggravated assault. Just 2 years later, he landed back in prison for violating probation. Between 2018 and 2019, the arrests piled up again, this time for drugs and illegal firearms. But the reason Melly's name dominates headlines is far darker. In October 2018, two of his closest friends and fellow rappers, YNW Sockchaser and YNW Juvie, were gunned down. Authorities allege that Melly himself helped orchestrate the murders, staging the scene to look like a drive-by shooting. On February 13, 2019, Melly turned himself in, accused of conspiring with fellow rapper Cortland Henry. Since then, he's remained behind bars, awaiting trial, at one point scheduled for May 23, 2022. The drama didn't stop there. In September 2022, reports surfaced that Melly had allegedly been plotting a daring prison escape with help from his own attorney. Once celebrated for his music, YNW Melly's story has spiraled into one of the most shocking cautionary tales in hip-hop. Casanova, another name on our list of music stars turned inmates, is staring down the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars, with a sentence that could stretch up to 60 years. His rap sheet is as long as a Christmas wish list, packed with charges that shocked fans when they first hit the headlines. In December 2020, authorities tied Casanova to a notorious street gang known as the Untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation. He was arrested on weapons charges and gang-related crimes connected to the tragic death of a 15-year-old boy. While he wasn't directly charged with the killing, investigators used his gang ties to uncover an even darker web of criminal activity. Police linked him to a violent New York robbery and discovered he had trafficked more than 100 kilograms of narcotics. Then came another bombshell. In 2021, prosecutors revealed that Casanova and an associate were involved in a nightclub shooting in Miami, targeting a rival gang member. His friend even bragged about the incident in text messages, practically handing investigators the evidence they needed. Despite the mounting case, Casanova, born Caswell Sr., took to social media to proclaim his innocence. But the justice system insists the proof tells a different story. As of now, he sits in a cell awaiting trial, with a mandatory minimum of 5 years already guaranteed. Depending on how the court rules, however, his fate could be far more severe, stretching into 6 long decades behind bars. The Kid Creole wasn't just another rapper, he was one of hip-hop's pioneers. Born Nathaniel Glover in February 1960, he came up in the Bronx back when most of us were still in diapers. As a founding member of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, alongside his brother Mel, Creole helped carve rap into music history. Their influence was so undeniable that in 2007, the group earned a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But life didn't deal Creole the kindest hand. For all the fame his name carried, it never translated into fortune. Behind the legacy of hip-hop glory, he was grinding through odd jobs just to make ends meet. By 2017, he was working as a handyman and security guard in New York City when his story took a dark turn. That August, Creole was arrested for stabbing a homeless man just blocks from where he worked. Exactly what happened in those moments is still unclear. Creole insists it was self-defense, claiming he struck twice out of fear. The courts saw it differently. He was charged with second-degree murder, and instead of performing on stage, he's been sitting in a cell, waiting for the chance to defend himself in court. From rap royalty to prison walls, Kid Creole's story is a haunting reminder that even legends can fall. Jacob Hogod, once hailed as one of Canada's rising stars, shot to fame after finishing third on Canadian Idol. Soon after, he became the frontman of the pop-rock band Headley, amassing a massive following of young fans across the country. But instead of being the role model his audience expected, Hogod's offstage life spiraled into darkness, filled with drugs, manipulation, and predatory behavior. The warning signs surfaced early. In 2005, a troubling incident occurred when a minor was found unconscious outside one of Headley's shows. She refused a rape kit, and the band reportedly silenced the venue with the threat of a lawsuit. Still, Hogod's star continued to rise. By 2016, the facade cracked wide open. A woman came forward with allegations of sexual assault, inspiring another victim to tell her story. The revelations led to serious charges in 2018, including sexual interference and 2 counts of assault causing bodily harm, one involving a girl who was under the age of 16. The trial was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, but on June 5, 2022, Hogod was found guilty of sexual assault for the 2016 incident. The charge related to the underage girl was ultimately dropped, but the damage to his reputation was irreversible. He now awaits further court proceedings, with his next appearance scheduled for August 4, 2022. From idol to infamy, Hogod's downfall is a haunting reminder of how fame can conceal the darkest of secrets. When news broke that Young Thug had been arrested, 27 other names surfaced in connection with the YSL gang. One name in particular caught the attention of hip-hop fans everywhere: Sergio Kitchens, better known as Ghana. Unlike Young Thug, Ghana's record wasn't nearly as heavy, but his name still appeared in the sweeping 56-count indictment. He faced a single conspiracy charge, with allegations that he was in possession of drugs intended for sale and stolen property. Instead of running from the storm, Ghana made the calculated move to turn himself in. The timing couldn't have been worse. His career was at its peak, his music dominating charts, and his fan base growing larger by the day. On June 14, 2022, Ghana broke his silence with a powerful message to his followers, insisting he was innocent and being falsely accused. He vowed that the justice system was failing him, claiming his constitutional rights had been stripped away. Prosecutors alleged that every member tied to YSL had conspired together in a racketeering scheme, committing crimes to protect and elevate their collective. Ghana, despite maintaining his innocence, was denied bail and ordered to remain behind bars until trial, scheduled for January 9, 2023. For fans, it was a gut punch, one of rap's rising stars, sidelined at the height of his momentum. For Ghana, it became a battle not just for freedom, but for his name, his legacy, and his faith in a system he felt had turned its back on him. TK, one of the youngest names on our list, is a cautionary tale of talent gone terribly wrong. At just 22 years old, this rapper is already serving a 55-year prison sentence. Back in 2017, he was on the brink of hip-hop stardom. His breakout track, The Race, stormed the Billboard Hot 100, but the timing of its success couldn't have been more twisted. Because the very day the song dropped, TK himself was captured after spending 3 months on the run. It all began in 2016, when TK was involved in a home invasion that left 21-year-old Ethan Walker dead. He and 5 others had planned to rob a local drug dealer and his friend, but the scheme turned tragic. Initially placed on house arrest, TK refused to sit quietly. Instead, he cut off his ankle monitor, taunted police on Twitter, and vanished into the streets. His time on the run was anything but quiet. During those chaotic months, he fatally shot a 23-year-old man outside a Chick-fil-A in Texas and brutally attacked a 65-year-old man who later identified him to authorities. The boldness of his crimes, and the audacity to rap about them while evading capture, turned him into a dark legend almost overnight. But legends come at a price. Since 2017, TK has been behind bars, facing a minimum of 27.5 years before even being eligible for parole. The young rapper who once bragged about outrunning the law is now stuck in a cell, his future lost to the very race he thought he could win. Jim Gordon wasn't just any drummer, he was a powerhouse in blues and rock, playing alongside legends like Eric Clapton and Alice Cooper. But behind the thunder of his drums was a storm he couldn't silence. Gordon battled the torment of schizophrenia, haunted by voices that grew louder and crueler with time. Among them was the voice of his own mother, relentless, inescapable. Desperate, Gordon sought help, but instead of receiving the treatment he needed, he was tragically misdiagnosed as having nothing more than a drinking problem. As his illness deepened, reality slipped further from his grasp. One chilling day, the voices pushed him past the point of no return. In 1983, under their command, he turned on his mother in a fatal attack that shocked the music world. Only after his arrest did doctors finally uncover the truth. Gordon was suffering from full-blown schizophrenia. Though initially sentenced to 16 years, he was deemed too dangerous ever to be released. Decades later, the once celebrated drummer remains locked away. A cautionary tale of untreated mental illness, lost genius, and a life derailed by voices that refuse to let him go. C. Murder's story remains one of the most controversial sagas in hip-hop history. In 2003, Corey Miller, better known by his stage name C. Murder, was arrested for the killing of 16-year-old fan Steve Thomas. From day one, Miller has sworn he's innocent. The case traces back to a 2002 rap battle that spiraled out of control. After Thomas bumped into a member of C. Murder's crew, a fight erupted. Moments later, gunfire rang out, and Thomas lay dead. But what happened that night is still clouded in doubt. Key witnesses later revealed shocking claims that police and prosecutors pressured them to pin the murder on C. Murder. One of them, security guard Darnell Jordan, admitted he was arrested and locked up until he agreed to testify against Miller. These confessions cast a long shadow over the trial. Even Kim Kardashian took notice, lending her voice in 2020 to fight for Miller's release. But despite her efforts, C. Murder remains behind bars, serving a life sentence. Unless new evidence emerges to prove his innocence, or another man is convicted, freedom will never come. So here's the question: which of these shocking cases hit you the hardest? Do you believe C. Murder deserves a second chance, or will his name remain buried behind prison walls forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And if you crave the raw, unfiltered truth Hollywood doesn't want you to know, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more untold stories that refuse to stay silent.